Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to be taking a look at a new poem. This one is called The Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams. Now I'm going to show you a new concept today when it comes to poetry, and it's something called meter. Meter is the beat that words have when you read them in poetry. They could be, I believe meter plays a very large role in like your music that you guys listen to. The reason why you really might connect to a set of lyrics that you're listening to is because the beat of what our musical artists are saying in their music is really matched up to the music in the background. So meter, it plays a huge role in poetry. Poetry is almost like music in many, many ways. Music is actually just poetry set to tunes. Mm-hmm. So we're going to take a look at the Red Wheelbarrow, and I want to just read it all the way through first, and then I'm going to show you what I mean by this poem having meter. So it starts with, so much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. And then, of course, I just put this beautiful rendering down there of these chickens next to the wheelbarrow.
It's beautiful. It's like a
pencil
drawing.
It's a beautiful drawing, but at the same time, too, we look at this and we're like, why is this poetry? Why was this a beautiful work? Because it looks like somebody took one sentence and they rearranged it so it looks funny on a piece of paper. That's what it looks like. So we're going to analyze this and take a look at the beat that each line has. Now, when I say the beat, I'm talking about the number of syllables. And when we do syllables, we kind of clap them out. That's what we do in elementary school to learn syllables. I believe if you did this in elementary school, you guys may have clapped out your names to find out how many syllables your name has. I'll start by saying, like, my name, Mrs. Waters, has Mrs. Waters has 4 syllables. And then Mr. Wells, Mr. Wells has 3 syllables.
She beat me. Yeah, she's got more beats in her name than mine. It happens. But yeah, like Mrs. Waters said, if you notice, there is a rhyme and a reason. There's a purpose. There's kind of a nice pattern when it comes to the meter of this specific poem. So check it out, right? I usually just like to use my fingers to count the number of syllables. So let's take a look at it line by line, right? So much depends. There's 4. Right? There's 4.
And we could clap it too, Mr. Wells, just for those that like to clap. Yep. So much depends. There's 4 claps.
Right? And then upon would be 2. Upon would be 2. So far the meter goes, which is different than rhyme scheme. The meter goes 4-2. And then the next stanza, a red wheel, which would be 3, and then barrow, which would be 2. Okay, with the next stanza, the line is glazed with rain. So that would be 3 syllables there. And then notice the last one is water, which would be 2 syllables. The last stanza in that first line would be beside the white. Now we're back to the 4 beats, the 4 syllables, chickens, right? So the meter would be 4-2, 3-2, 3-2, 4-2. So there is like a bit of symmetry, right? You know, the first stanza and the 4th stanza kind of match, and then the middle 2 kind of match, you know? So there was a pattern to how this sentence was broken down.
I think it's also really important to note that not all poetry has meter. It's just another element of poetry that we should be aware of. So sometimes when you're asked to analyze poetry, you may be asked to analyze the rhyme scheme, like we taught you with the A, B, C, D, you know, assigning letters of the alphabet to rhymes. Or you could be asked to analyze the meter of the poetry. And you're going to be expected to do more of this in, say, 9th grade when you start looking at Shakespeare, that he wrote everything with a type of meter. In his plays. But for now, we're just going to start with the simple stuff, and it's what can you clap out in terms of syllables for each line, and we are seeing a pattern. So therefore, this poem does have meter.
Yeah, and I think too what I like about this poem, and we've talked about it in years prior, is that it does have kind of a sense of imagery as well. Like I can picture this scene in my mind, You know, I know that the you know, colored pencil drawing kind of depicts it, but you know, I mean, I can see a red wheelbarrow, the glazed with rain. You know, I think of like a glazed donut. I mean, we can all kind of pick like it's a really shiny, you know what I mean, red wheelbarrow beside the chickens. We don't know what the chickens are doing. You know what I mean? It kind of, if anything, the poem might raise a level of questions, like, well, where is this, and you know, why is this? But I think between meter and imagery, it's kind of a cool little poem. So here's the challenge. Here's the homework assignment, right? So we want you to create a poem that is inspired by this poem. So if you take a look at like the requirements, and this should be the online homework number 7, is like you need to start the poem with so much depends upon, and then you need to pick an object. It could be any object. So much depends upon this pencil. I don't know. And then you got to give it a describing element. You need to describe the pencil or whatever object you choose, and then wherever it's located. So those are the requirements. Pretty easy. Now we challenge you. It's not a requirement. But if you can kind of mimic the same meter that William Carlos Williams did, then that would just be awesome. But you're not limited to having to use this meter. But man, it'd be pretty cool if you did the 4-2-3-2-3-2-4-2 meter. It'd be pretty sweet.